coming to you live from the inside of a biscuit tin.
I quite liked us dicking around before. I like that. Come to you live from Shrewsbury, Telford, and Wrexham. That was really good.
From Shrewsbury, Telford, and Wrexham.
You leave Telford out of this. There's nothing wrong with the dinge hole that is Telford. We proudly represent Telford here.
Yeah, if you love Citroen Saxos banked on roundabouts,
shut the fuck up, you posh twat. You think he's all highbrow now that he's moved to Shrewsbury? Just like you've still got potholes, you dick. You'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Right, we are live, but not live anyway. So coming to you live from my mum's basement.
Live from the biscuit tin.
That's my favourite place. Oh no, Jimmy's mama! Oh no, Jimmy's mama!
Jesus.
I hope your mum doesn't listen to this.
Well, I hope so either, because we swear lots. That's something we realised, and yeah, hopefully she doesn't listen. But
what age were you at where you finally breached the swearing in front of parents?
I remember the first time that I was in the garden with my dad and we were lifting bricks to lay a patio, and I was like, oh, this is bloody heavy. And he looked at me and he was like, you fucking what? And I was just like, oh, I didn't swear. And it's just like, it's not actually a swear word. So after that, the age though that I was just like, you know what, fuck off. And it was just
always
like
with my mum for me. It was my dad was always swearing in front of my older brother, and I kind of noticed. I thought if I could slip in the odd F word now and again, he'd probably be fine with it. And I started doing that like sort of later in life, and he totally was fine with it. We ended up speaking real bad language in front of each other, but my mum's never quite got over it. Anytime me and my dad are chatting and I drop the F bombs, I just feel bad.
She goes up Captain America on you, language guy.
There's no worse feeling in the world than disappointing your mum, though, Al, you know?
Well, Al wouldn't know about that. Al's parents don't care about him, so...
No, they're disappointed from the moment I was born.
He's just like, put him back in! Batman. Put him back in, please!
I think mine was, when I first met you, Roy, I think we used to try and impress each other with the worst sort of language and kind of insults. Whenever we'd see each other in school, we'd be like, how's it going, shit-faced cockmaster?
You've always bettered me in that department, man. Thors-Kin podcast's proof of that.
Do you know what, as well? Before, like, last week, we were like, right, we sat down and was just like, right, what ways can we, move forward with the show and stuff like that? And we've got loads of stuff we'll get into in a moment. One of the things was like, do we swear too much? Are we shooting ourselves in the foot with not being quite accessible enough? Because people don't like shit fucks and cunts every 2 seconds. And here we are, just like, how to open a show. Just like...
Yeah, but
said everything.
And like I was like, okay, yeah, we'll make a conscious effort. We won't like put bleeps or censor ourselves too much. We'll just make a conscious effort to be a bit more kind of, universal, like you said. And then the next post I put up on Thorskin was tag who likes to be pegged. I was like, oh,
you can't deny what you are, man. You've got to roll with what you've got.
Exactly. But Rye, thanks for joining us again. I've done some major catching up on Sketchy Connection stuff. You're still putting out some awesome content. So, yeah, anyone who didn't catch the last show that Ryan joined us from, do you want to give a quick shout out to your show, what it's all about, and your channel, everything?
Oh, God, I don't even know if I could. It's just basically it's the Ricky Gervais show for gamers in a nutshell. We record our game sessions and animate segments of them. The segments that we find the funniest, which are few and far between. To be honest, it takes us a long time to find these segments, and yeah, we just compile little sort of let's play videos with animated characters doing the playing.
I love the last one, the PUBG episode, where you just had him falling down, just like trying to parachute, and just like, you can't change direction once you pulled your parachute. Just an animated version of him, just like dangling, just like swapping back and forth, just like 180. But no, it's an awesome show. So yeah,
thanks,
you say that, like, it takes a while to pull out the funniest bits, but it is literally start to finish nice, shortish episodes, sort of 10-15 minutes, the longer ones, some even shorter
than that now. I think that if we've learned anything from that PUBG episode, then the statistics of the channel were that people weren't really watching any of them any longer than about 8 minutes. So I thought if we can, do it less than the 8 minutes, we've got more likelihood of them going through with the whole video. And I just tried to deliberately target a popular game with the right tags and the right sort of naming structure, in the hope that it would be the more successful one that we've got today. And it seems to have worked. So I think that's the format we'll be sticking to from now on anyway. Shorter videos, directly targeting popular games.
Cash grab, man. That's such a cash grab.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's YouTube.
Fuck you. You're always going about cash grabs, Jimmy.
Yeah, I love the phrase cash grab. But yeah, so anyone watching, basically, make sure that you subscribe to us and give us a like first. But if you want to, check out Sketchy Connection.
Save the
it's
best
all
till
right.
last.
I just want to reiterate as well that it's not some cheap ass YouTube shit that you normally get, like your kid normally watches or something. These are really high quality videos that look beautiful. Like I saw these videos where I saw them a while ago when when Ryan was drawing them up, and I was so blown away because they look amazing. They really do. So make sure you check them out. Sketchy Connection.
Y'all gonna make me cry.
Y'all gonna make me cry now.
Thanks a lot, guys. Means a lot, mate.
No problem at all. But we're on about some updates that are coming to the channel. We've got loads and loads of things going on at the moment that we're going to sort of announce as and when that they're ready. So we've got sort of like 4 big things going on. 1 and 2 are kind of going to be going live at the same time, and it's basically a whole new portion and segment on the channel that's going to be its own playlist, its own show. It's going to be a month or so away yet, so we'll get into that a bit closer to the time, but it's basically going to be trying to get a lot more sort of passionate people involved on a certain subject, so that we can go real deep into something, and then sort of weekly and bi-weekly content to join it as 2 sort of separate projects going side by side. So keep an eye out for that. That's about, like I say, about a month away. A bit closer than that though, you might have noticed, superhero bar fight was absent last week, and there's a damn good reason for it. So we relaunched that with some new artwork and a new way of doing it. About a month or 2 back, wasn't it, Al? Something like that.
Yeah.
And we had a new format of doing everything, and it evolved within that season. We started it doing shakedowns of the characters' abilities, and we just naturally steered away from that when we started doing the masturbator trophy, which we had like 2 people tagged up together, and we did that so that we could just ignore all the bullshit and just get straight into it,
and just have some fun as well.
We wanted to just have a lot of fun with it, and we said from the get-go, didn't we? We didn't want to be that. We didn't want to go off popular votes and we do polls, but we didn't want to just choose the poll winner to be the winner. And we also didn't want to be the people that are just like, if you look at the stats, you'll find that Superman is stronger than Goku. It's just like, we didn't want to be that either. So we just, in the Thors-Kin sort of essence, we wanted to have fun with it. So we're doing exactly the same. We're taking a bit of a hiatus with Superhero Bar Fight, and we've got season 2 kicking off at the start of May. It's going to be a 3-month-long season, and we've got a huge project. We've already alluded to what it's going to be, but we'll let it die down a bit until the week before, and then we'll come back with we'll give you all the details about it. And lastly, but not leastly, we've got something that's going live now. So I think, Al, you better take this one, I think. Well,
me and Jimmy decided we were going to just kind of do our own things as well as the show. Just had a bit more content, because there's only so far we could take it together. So we thought, let's do our own thing. So I decided I was going to do a show about bizarre news. like not the news you'd get in the headlines, but the little bits you get in the little squares in the sun that run down the side of the page.
The shit that gives you viruses if you click on it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm going to be doing it with Garrett. So me and Garrett are going to be bringing you a new show called The Weekly Bizarre. I'm going to be recording it tonight with him, and then I'm going to edit the shit out of it and get it recorded during the week. So look forward to that. I'm really looking forward to it. We were chatting last night. He rang me on his dinner break, and he was like, "Oh, I can't wait." Yeah.
Is that what he sounds like?
I can't wait.
So you're doing a show with Barry White, basically. But when you messaged me that, I was just like, oh, what shit is Alex gonna come up with? It was just like, is he gonna do his 100-part episode talking about Ross Geller? It was just like, when you sent that through, I was just like, I'm excited because you dig up some random shit. You get like to the depths of you get on the fucking dark net. Like you fucking discovered fucking Bitcoin with some of your shit that you managed to dig up. So
let me explain. And Ryan's a witness
cool
of this
stuff.
When we send our notes through, and Ryan's just witnessed this last night. Jimmy sends a list that's about 12 lines long. I want to talk about this, and this, and this. I'll be like, okay, we're going to talk about the Stranger Things, and I'll send like a huge essay about that with pictures, and then something about what I just go overboard with the notes. That's the way it has to be. I'd rather have too much to talk about than
better more than less.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's it, yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be sort of going live pretty damn soon. So you'll see a new playlist going up on the YouTube channel. Just if it's the downloads that you're into, which a lot of you guys are, it's just going to be more content on the same channel, essentially. So yeah, loads of new stuff coming.
I'm really proud of the logo I made as well for the show, because I thought, when you go into making a logo and you think this is going to take me like 4 attempts and loads of different concepts, different fonts.
It should do, Alex. It should take 4 attempts.
I did it and I was like, oh, I like that. It's really crisp and clean and I like it. So I'll get it up on the Thors-Kin channel soon. So anyway, on with the show. We've ignored Ryan for long enough. How have you been, buddy?
Yeah, good. Thank you. I've done a couple of things this week probably worth bringing up. I went to see Russell Brand the other day.
Wow.
Not personally. I didn't knock his door and just pop in for a brew or anything. In fact, I was about as far away from him as you could possibly be in the theatre as well. He was a dot in the distance. But yeah, he was good. He spent a lot of his set sort of poking fun at his protesting efforts over the last couple of years. The Paxman interview, when he was sort of helping those girls off the housing estate in London, tried to keep their residents, which I was a bit gutted about, to be honest. I kind of thought that was some of the stuff that got me to respect the guy so much in the first place. But yeah, it was good. He's still really funny. He still got it. Went to see Ready Player One as well. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I definitely want to get that into that in a bit.
I'll leave that for a little bit then.
We'll match all that up with all the movie stuff. Do you know what? I'm gutted that I still haven't got to. I think we're going tonight though.
Yeah, we've been broke, so I'm like, can we go to the pictures? I open up my wallet and a fucking bat flies out of it.
Have some sweets.
Well, I've had my wife's I'm getting ready for my wife's birthday, and I'll tell you what. I had the most awful day yesterday. And when I say awful, I was at the end of it. When you like watch an episode of Breaking Bad and like somebody's knocked out on the floor and there's a fire burning and there's debris everywhere. But at the end of this day yesterday, I was sat in my car. I was nearly crying. I was texting my wife saying, I am going to jail. I'm going to murder someone. Honestly, it was the worst day ever. It was funny now I look at it. But
what happened, man?
Oh my God! Right, so I took Timmy into Shrewsbury to look for my wife's birthday present. I had a specific thing in mind. I've been looking forward to going picking this up. I can't say it now because it'll air before her birthday. But there was a certain place I needed to go to. So first of all, I get into town, and then I go to where the address of this place that was on Google. I'm walking around. I shit you not for about half an hour. Right up in this sun trap, which is on this hill, like there's nothing around. So I'm got my big coat on because it's still fucking cold. I'm wandering around. Timmy's getting tired and irate, and I'm like, where the fuck is this place? I've got Google Maps taking me around in circles. I look on Google, out of business. It's gone. I found the shop with the thing on the door. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I've been wandering around for half an hour. Right, so I was like, okay, fine. But before that, actually, as I was looking for the place, I walked past a bar, and in there having lunch was a colleague from work. She banged on the window, and I was like, hi, really geekily as I walked past.
Hey, you guys.
So I was like, okay, I can get the gift at the weekend. It's fine. Let's go and take Timmy for some lunch. So I walked back through town, back across the window for this bar. So I saw my colleague again. I was like, hi, again for the second time. Right? I walk into KFC in Shrewsbury. It's fucking disgusting. I shit you not. Like the restaurant, there's food all along the floor. There's chavs everywhere.
Well, at least they've got some food now. That's the main thing.
Oh, have they? I went to the toilet. I took Timmy to the toilet because he's like, I need a wee. There's literally piss everywhere. I was like, this is just wrong. It's wrong.
Oh, man.
And then I went to order something, and they were like, we don't have a drinks fountain. It's not working. I was like, you got no drinks? And he was like, there's this really guy with a really straggly beard, no fucking mask over his face or anything, and he's pouring drinks out of bottles. And I was like, that's just not the same. The fountain drinks. The fountain drinks are almost the thing that you love the most. Anyway, I was just like, do you know what? Fuck you. I was literally like, KFC's the biggest piece of shit ever. I told him, I was like, fuck you, I'm going somewhere else, right? So I was like, okay, I came out. I was like, oh, there's a new Wimpy opened down the road. I'm going to go and check that out.
Get the fuck out, man. There's a Wimpy in your town.
In Shrewsbury, yeah. Big, huge new Wimpy, yeah. So I went down and I was like, yeah, Wimpy. I looked and it was the opening day. It was literally wall to wall full with just you couldn't order food in there. They were all like, oh, well, aren't we so successful? And I was like, fuck that. So I carried on walking. I went to the Chippy. I've eaten there before. It's quite nice. And I saw a table by the window. I was like, get in. So I took Timmy and I sat him down on the table. I was like, okay, I'll get you what this is. I walked up to the counter and she goes, the card machine's not working. I was like, ah! So I had to pick him up.
Yes.
I took him out of the restaurant. I was like, right, we're going home. I've had enough. So I start walking him and he's like, he's getting tired now. I've dragged him all around Shrewsbury for no fucking reason, right? So he's like, can you pick me up, Daddy? So I pick him up and like, let me tell you, like, if it was a year and a half ago, it would have been fine. But he's a heavy kid, So he's on my shoulder. I'm walking towards the multi-story, and with each few steps, my spine is like shrinking into abyss. Like, so I was like, Timmy, okay, I got a mission for you. We got to find Daddy's car. We get to the multi-story. He's like, yes, let's go find the car. I forgot I parked all the way up the top, so I had to climb all the way up the fucking staircase. We found my car. I went all the way down the car park and I had to park at the bottom to go pay my ticket. There's a crowd of people around the card machine, and they're like, oh, the chip and pin's not working. The cards aren't working. I was like, fuck, I've got no cash. I look, and Timmy's falling asleep. He's falling asleep. He's getting naggy in the car. Like, so I was like, for God's sake. They were like, you're going to have to go to reception. So I had to park up, get Timmy out of his car seat, which he then started whinging about because he was like, I want to sleep. I had to walk him all the way to reception. I was like, I take it you know about the card machine, to this miserable fucker through the window. And he's like, yeah, you're going to have to go and get money out. I was like, dude, I've got £7 in my bank. I physically can't get money out. My little boy's fallen asleep and I need to go and get my wife from work. I lied. And he started closing the window at me. I was like, what? He started closing the window. I was like, right. I started pointing at him through the window. I was like, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to park my car at the fucking barrier and I'm going to sit there until you let me out. You got it. And he was just like, oh, whatever. And this is exactly what I did. I took my car and I parked it right before the barrier and I turned my car off and sat back. Timmy's napping by now. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm sat there all out.
You reached breaking point. I'm so proud of you. You did something like, yes, I love it when people are pushed to that edge where they're just like, fuck you.
This is very rare.
Ticket at a time.
I never get to this stage. I never become the asshole, right? And I'm really proud of myself. Like, so I'm sat there. There's cars behind me beeping. I'm like, no. I didn't give a shit.
It's like that episode of Frasier, man.
And then he comes up behind me. He puts the cone behind my car. He comes to my window. He's like, so you're just going to sit there? You're not going to pay? I was like, no. was like, I'm not being funny. Like, I've got a card here. There's a card fucking thing on there. If it doesn't work, I can't pay. I can't leave. You're gonna have to let me out. So he's like, he wanders off. I'm still sat there. I was putting music on now. I didn't give a shit. Like, I'm looking for System of a Down. And then he comes back about 10 minutes later. He knocks on my window. He goes, "Have you got your ticket?" I was like, "Yeah, it's here." He took it. He paid with his own money.
Oh man!
With his own cash. And they gave me the ticket. And I was like, "Thank you." And I stormed off. And I was like, "Oh man, this guy's
ruthless bastard."
Afterwards, I felt really bad. This guy, you could hear it in his voice. He was close to crying, but at the same time, I was like, "I've had the fucking worst day ever." I don't give a shit about that guy. I mean, I feel bad now, and I laugh about it now. But honestly, while I was waiting in that car for the barrier to go up, I was like, "I'm driving through this fucking barrier, love. I'm going to jail."
Oh, that's awesome.
Such a bad day. And then I got back, I had a nice lunch, I had a cigarette, and then I just completely chilled out. But yeah, that was what my day was yesterday. This woman that I work with seen me walk past the window 3 times like a fucking idiot, by the way.
That's fantastic. I can't believe he paid with his own money.
I know.
Can you imagine being that guy? So I was just like, what a dick.
I mean, are you going to pay him back? Or... Did you get his number?
I feel really bad for him because, like, it wasn't working for anyone, and there's loads of people around the window complaining. Yeah. I just didn't like the way he closed the window on me, you know. And I was just like, I'm genuinely.
Fuck you, fuck you, man.
Oh no, you didn't. And then, like, I was literally a parent in need. Like, my child was falling asleep. I had to get him home. So, you know, he should have shown some sort of. I will happily go in and pay it if that's the case. My watch is going.
I can just imagine the CCTV footage. You know, you get those viral videos where the woman's outside the McDonald's drive-thru goes, "What? You got no chicken nuggets?" It's just Al's the same thing.
Oh god! And I'd rather. I think what sketch is it where he goes? I'd rather stab myself than ask for more sauce or something like that. You know, I'm genuinely just. I don't like causing a scene, but the paternal monster in me came out, and I was just like, I need to get my boy home. This is the only way I'm going to do it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Good on you, man.
To be honest, at that stage, I think I'd have done the same thing of just, you know what, fuck you. If it's affecting everyone.
Yeah, it was.
I've probably been a real pussy about it, man. I probably started weighing up the value of my car and whether or not it was going to hurt me too much to just walk out of there, pretend none of it happened. Well, it's only a £700 car. Let's go, Timmy. Come on, let's just leave it. Let's just go.
I'll carry you all the way home.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a bizarre day, but anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, should we get into it?
Yes, let's do it.
Should we do... go on.
What do you want to talk about first? I was going to say.
You know what I want to talk about first. I want to go big. Go big or go home.
Spiderman, no doubt.
I told you I'm not flopping my dick out on Google Hangouts.
Thing is, he's actually there in his boxers.
Like, I am. It's weird. Like, I'm sat here in my dressing gown. I've got my boxers on. And I'm so glad you guys can't see underneath the desk here because I'm sat here Alexa Kimbo. I've got my underwear on, but it still feels very unnatural to be sat here.
My missus thinks I'm totally bizarre because I just can't do lounge attire at all. Like, the minute I get out of bed, I put jeans and a top on, like, immediately. That's the first thing I do in the day. And I don't get dressed till I get back into bed. She's tried to buy me lounge pants before now and really tried to push me into this sort of relaxation attire. I just can't get on board, man. I don't know what it is.
Hold on. I'm going to take this off, actually, because...
Your boxers or the dressing gown?
The dressing gown.
Oh, good. Thank fuck for
You guys
that.
Can't see me sat here in my pants, don't worry.
His Sith cowl.
So...
Wow, check how quickly he turned into Limp Bizkit.
I know, that's... He's got his red cap on
Lord
back.
to Limp Bizkit within seconds.
Now I'm wondering if the guys like outside my window can see me sat here in my pants. Like, anyway, let's get on to some news. What would you want to talk about first, Jim Star?
Jim Star. I think that needs to catch on. Spiderman. Spiderman all day long.
Fuck this game. I only say that because I'm jealous. because I can't get it on the Xbox, and I can't afford a PlayStation.
This is like the one. This is going to be the best game this generation. I can tell you now already. Absolutely. Like, you've got. If someone said, right, there's a new Spider-Man game, you know what my first reaction was, right? And I think I've kind of talked about this before, but my first reaction was, oh, great, there's a new Spider-Man game. I hope that he's not jumping on a taxi, punching generic goon through the window. And the trailer, he did exactly that. I was like, great, so we've got Spider-Man 3 again, essentially. And then I found out that it was Insomniac doing it, and I was like, ooh. And that completely changed everything. My ears perked up, and I was like, oh, okay. Because Sunset Overdrive, just using that as like a base level of what they did. They did Ratchet and Clank prior to that, but they're using.
I really should have played that game more, man.
Oh, what, Sunset Overdrive?
Yeah, I barely tapped it at all, and it looked beautiful too. It's a sort of Jet Set Radio Goes Dead Rising attempt.
I love that game.
Nailed it, man. I don't know why I didn't give it the time of day at all.
Absolutely go. It still holds up now. I went back, really? I did the same. I played it a bit, did some of the story. There were so many games out that I didn't get round to it. I went back like a year later, got the DLC, and I did the whole thing, and I couldn't play a different game during the whole time. Like, the locomotion in it is just insane. Like, the combat, the colours, everything.
I think Sunset Overdrive is the best version of Hot Lava. Don't touch the lava or don't touch the floor ever, because you could just literally go from one side of the city to the other without touching the floor. It's amazing.
And for them to then take that and apply it to Spider-Man with, like, I saw a GIF yesterday of, or a GIF, however you're supposed to say it, of him traversing the city, and there's this crane holding up like a concrete tube, and he like shoots himself through the tube and like stretches himself out and goes through it. It was just like, just going around the city as Spider-Man is gonna be insane. But have you seen any of the new footage of it?
I've only seen the cinematic trailers. I haven't really seen much gameplay. I saw the gameplay video that came out probably, I don't know if I had to hazard a guess, about 4 months ago. The last one. Yeah, it does look really good. I was actually listening to a YouTube video yesterday that was going into why sort of hack and slash gameplay is a thing of the past. It was specifically focusing on God of War, which was kind of, I guess Spider-Man, the older games weren't really considered hack and slash gameplay, but they were kind of, one player.
Yeah, they're a step away from it, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But it's there's just no market for it anymore, apparently, because everything seems to have been going down an online route, and the way people seem to be combating that in newer games, particularly Sony anyway, is just to reinvent the stuff that they did have, but so completely atmospheric and art driven, if that makes any sense at all. That the people will just be mesmerized by it. Like God of War, they've kind of taken it down a Last of Us route deliberately to make it look like a fantastic game, rather than focusing on gameplay. It's kind of I guess immersion, if that's the right word there. But presumably that's what they're going. That's the route they're taking with Spider-Man. Take the sort of core mechanic that's existed for years with that game, web slinging around an open world city, but just bombard it with amazing art design and graphics.
Yeah, I was reading something where basically they're. I get where you're coming from there. I don't think this is actually Sony's input into the style of this game, because they did an interview with Kotaku where it basically said... Jesus Christ. Where they basically said that it wasn't... Sony didn't turn around and say, right, we've got the Spider-Man rights, make us a Spider-Man game. Marvel and Sony went to Insomniac and said, we want you to make a Marvel game for PlayStation. What do you want to do? They had literally pick of the draw. Like, they could have done an Iron Man game, they could have done Black Panther, they could have done Hulk. They picked Spider-Man, and I think they picked it because of their history with Sunset Overdrive. And, like, it was just the perfect match. So the fact that they've picked it, like, it just bodes really well that it's the love and the passion for it that is going to result in the actual the end result, rather than them being told, right, you've got to make a game because you're licensed and you're kind of a Sony studio. Like, I know, yeah, they're third party, but
could you imagine if they turned around and went, "We want to make a Fantastic Four movie"? No, 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 no. Move on, buddy.
Yeah, apparently they're not going to have any of. They're steering away from all like the typical villains as well. So they've got Mr. Negative in there, which is a new person that was brought in the comics on the last comic storyline. Apparently, I don't keep up with the Spider-Man comics, so that could be completely wrong. But that's just what I've managed to gather. But I don't think they're going to have all of like your Green Goblin and Sandman and this, that, and the other. Yeah, apparently they're going to have like completely not unique because they're going to use still Spider-Man IP characters, but they're going to have the really obscure ones, so it's like a proper standalone game and doesn't get merged into, you know, how like Spider-Man 3 was essentially Spider-Man 2, but with way too many villains in the game.
Yeah.
They're stepping away from being Spider-Man 3.0 that looks good. So
is there going to be like an online mode?
Nope. No online. It's a full-on single-player game. They're not having any, and I don't want to go too far down this because this is another subject I want to get into, but they've got no microtransactions, so they're not going to bombard you with like pay for this suit, pay for that suit, and all of that crap. So yeah, it's shaping up to look awesome. And out on September 7th, which is again steering the fuck away from Red Dead. It's going to be one hell of a busy holiday.
Yeah,
so many big games.
Sea of Thieves is shit though, eh?
Oh, it was you that brought it up too, Al. There you go.
No, I did message Rye. I messaged Rye about like, no talk of Sea of Thieves at all.
I was going to call it "See Who Shall Not Be Named" if we were going to talk about it at all this episode.
but then Rye came up with the idea we want to talk about No Man's Sky, and I was just like, oh,
completely unrelated though. It wasn't sort of a No Man's Sky Sea of Thieves wrap up. It's just that No Man's Sky's. It's been announced this last week that there's going to be a huge update coming to it. People are speculating that it's going to absolutely sort this multiplayer bollocks out, and that there's hope that it might be available in VR. If that happens, if No Man's Sky comes out as for the PlayStation VR, shoot me now if you think I'm wrong, but that'll be the most immersive gaming experience there's been in years. I fully believe that. If you can planet hop in VR, everything else will be put on the back pedal for a while for me.
Slamming a prostitute in the back of a taxi in GTA, that would be the most immersive thing ever.
I mean, if it's in VR, then...
Like, baby.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like there was a slow ripper coming.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't done GTA in VR. Well, the fucking work involved, but yeah, GTA in VR would be insane.
People have forced it to work in VR, haven't they? There's a few videos online of people that have managed to get it going on a PC, but
I'd just be strutting around like Baby Driver, like or like Spider-Man.
Here's my problem, right, with No Man's Sky. Is it's Elite Dangerous, but not as good. Like, Elite Dangerous, one, looks phenomenal. It's bigger. Like, there's an actual... Okay, so... No Man's Sky...
Play it?
What? Elite Dangerous?
No Man's Sky.
Oh, fuck me. Like, on watching... I've not physically played it myself, watching someone ages ago.
I played it when it first came out, and people were right. It was really engrossing for a short space of time, and then it sort of did feel mildly repetitive. But it's got a pretty serious community behind it now, and people are really preaching that it's changed its ways, and there's a hell of a lot more content than there ever was. And that this update hopefully is really going to bring it all together in a
was it as repetitive as sailing to the same beach and finding the same treasure and then sailing
less repetitive, definitely.
Shut the fuck up, Al.
It's sort of, no, man, I've played a lot of Sea of Thieves in the last few weeks, man, and it is definitely people are right to compare the two. They are, the mechanic of them is incredibly similar. And it's a finite experience. It's it can only keep you entertained so long. repeatedly doing the same tasks.
They bring in like base building, which was something that I thought No Man's Sky needed, like from the get go. So I struggle with the whole No Man's Sky thing because, like, part of the reason why we're bringing this in as well, because there's a bunch of games that have gone from PlayStation exclusives to Xbox, and part of the reason with I didn't get a PlayStation for quite a while afterwards, even when everyone was hyping up No Man's Sky as the biggest thing ever, was it didn't go on that list of exclusives that got me hyped to buy a PlayStation, because there was so much shit surrounding it, and I'm still struggling to get over that shit. In the promise of, yeah, it's a multiplayer game, you can run into people. No, you can run into an orb, a floating orb, if you search for them for 6 real world weeks. There's no fucking content there whatsoever. You released it at full price, and it should have been a game preview release with 12 months yet to go. You sent it out with stickers changing the PEGI rating, like physical stick-on stickers that was fucking illegal, that they didn't get bastard sued for in the end, I don't think. There was just so many sort of like that shady as fuck practices that I'm like, I don't give a shit about it.
Even AAA studios for worse activity though, Jimmy.
The ways in which that I've forgiven some things
Ubisoft
for certain things, it was because there's decent logical reasoning behind whether I do and don't sort of forgive someone for something like that. Is,
I mean, at least No Man's Sky had a face to aim its abuse at, man. I feel bad for Sean Murray. Poor bastard. He's took the rap for the entire game, really. When people want to point fingers at EA, who the fuck do they do it at? EA just turn their backs and pretend like nothing's happened.
The thing is, you say that, but yet Sean Murray went silent for 12 months and was just like, no more refunds, people. And then
I'm not excusing the guy at all. Don't get me wrong. I'm not excusing his actions, but I can't help but feel bad for him.
So yeah, anyway, with the big update, we've got No Man's Sky, Crash Bandicoot and Hellblade all going over to Xbox, and it's sort of like raised a question that I was thinking about and that I've seen a lot of talk about, particularly like in the Xbox community. If you delve into it, obviously you eventually reach the fanboy elements of any community, whether it's fucking sports or consoles or whatever, where it's plastic and list wars over the actual content itself. And a lot of, all these PlayStation losing all these exclusives, and I'm looking at No Man's Sky thinking, I don't care. Crash Bandicoot thinking, that wasn't an exclusive anyway, but it was made to look like an exclusive. And then Hellblade, which I'm genuinely fair play, that I'm glad that's coming, was the question of like, that's all your third-party stuff. And this is where it's linking back in, where I want to bring Alex back into the conversation here. That's all your third party stuff, right? But your first party, when you're talking about Spiderman, and you've got God of War, and they look the way they do, all on a quote unquote underpowered console that can't do native 4K, but you've got the developers to make it look like you wouldn't fucking notice. Is there a problem here with the output of first-party games between Xbox and PlayStation, or is it just different strokes for different folks? Because you've got Spider-Man and God of War going up against Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, Crackdown, 3 stylized games that you wouldn't... Then they're pushing visuals in a different way. They look gorgeous, but if you're not into kiddie-looking games, then you're not into it. And the inevitable Forza. It's like, they're all games worth getting, so you've got 4 against 2, but are those 2 PlayStation games completely trouncing?
The graphics are what they're trying to compete with, man. It's if you look at the type of games Microsoft are working on and PlayStation are working on, PlayStation are sort of either reinventing their existing IPs or creating new and equally impressive ones, and really trying to maintain the lifespan of the single player campaign, which is damn commendable, to be honest, because as much as anyone else believes it's a thing of the past, I'll never not want to play them games. They're awesome. And then Microsoft seem to be exclusively focusing on online gameplay. and then graphics it seems to be.
That's where the money's at, though, isn't it?
That's the problem.
Sort of.
Yeah,
that's where the money's at. Like if you've got games that are exclusively online playable, that's a marketplace full of millions of people, and that's. I think that's Microsoft's downfall. Is they just see dollar signs, don't they?
Unfortunately, it's the same thing as how they don't announce like the amount of consoles sold. One, you don't want to do that because it's less than your competitor, but they announce like monthly users. Like Spiderman news came out, and their counter to that was, as this month Xbox Live has brought together X amount of friends, and it's like, really? Wow. That doesn't really fucking that doesn't matter. Great, if you want to be a proper, if you're like, if your argument wants to be, oh, Sony versus Microsoft as a company, that's fine. If you want to take that spin, that's absolutely fine. If you want to take the business aspect and that's your interest, fine. That's actually an interesting subject to get into. Who's doing best on their fucking finance sheets and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And the answer to it is Microsoft is fucking cleaning house. Like they're wiping the floor with anyone. But in terms of actual, as a gamer, the disc that you put in your console, I just feel. Oh, go on.
I think like at first, my first impressions, say like you've just seen. Say a screenshot of each game, right? Say you saw Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, and you saw Crackdown as a screenshot, and then on the PlayStation side, you look at Spider-Man and Son of God of War and all this. I think Xbox should be ashamed because you look at them screenshots and you think, oh no,
you're not alone there.
And then you look at PlayStation, you think, wow, that's gorgeous. I think it's a valid point. I think it's a valid point.
So I thought PlayStation were they still have the most units sold, don't they?
By a mile. I think someone did the math, and I think because Xbox released a bit of information that was enough to join the dots. So this is still going to be rough, but it's like 70 million consoles going up against about eking on 40 now. So it is a very nearly a 2-to-1 ratio. The thing is with stuff like that, with the amount of consoles sold, there is a huge caveat to all of it. In the US and the UK, the actual units in those two, the biggest areas, are like 9 to 10. Like there's a ratio of like 1 in it. It's the fact that PlayStation is out in so many other areas that Xbox just hasn't released in for some reason. Yeah. That globally, it's such a huge thing. But the thing is, they can still tote that and they can market it. So the impression that they give. But going back to, you raised it like a huge point there, Al, like with if you saw screenshots of one versus another, being. Microsoft should be ashamed. Here's the way that I look at it, is that when I'm spending my money, do I want, and this is why I said different strokes for different folks earlier, do I want to put £50 down on a game that I'm going to play for 20 hours and walk away thinking, holy shit, that was awesome? Or do I want to pick up a game that I can play for 500 hours and be like, holy shit, I got my money's worth out of that? It's like, for instance, you play Call of Duty, you pay full price for that and the DLC. You pay double that for all the DLC. Call of Duty it's a cash grab, man. It's a cash grab. But what do you play? You play the fucking campaign once, if that, and then you play multiplayer. And the reasons why they're making these decisions is because the stats of what people are doing support their investment into that.
But is the trust there anymore? There's no trust there. Like these developers making these games, like No Man's Sky, like Sea of Thieves, and you expected to go, okay, this looks great, and you take your well-earned £50, $60, whatever you. Which, by the way, I'm struggling to fill up my car right now. So like me going and buying a new game is a big thing. So you go out and buy the game, and it's just it's number one, it's an unfinished game where they're going to release the extra half as a DLC, or it's like No Man's Sky or Sea of Thieves with no content. So it's like, can you trust these big companies to make these games that you're expected to make a leap on now?
I think, yeah, absolutely. I think it kind of leads us into the next subject that I'm enjoying just pushing all of this into one subject almost, is the whole microtransaction thing. Is that plays a part in this, like whether you're on about just story driven content, just multiplayer, or a part that overlays all of that and ties it all together is the post-launch ways of making money. Is that so the reason why I'm bringing it up basically is Shadow of War. Warner Brothers has finally removed all the loot boxes in Shadow of War. Is it Shadow? Yeah, it is. Yeah, Shadow of War. Yeah. And basically, it's led to this whole sort of like fucking tweet army of, you know, we're winning the war on microtransactions, this, that, and the other, and they're tied to turning. Now, they absolutely are. You know, Spiderman, Star Wars has removed loot boxes altogether. So they've changed the format of how those games operate. You've seen Warner Brothers doing it. I think you're going to see a lot less microtransactions because of the backlash. It doesn't actually, the damage that you do to your PR isn't actually maintaining your player base long enough to make the money. It's like you're selling less and you're shooting yourself in the foot. There's a big problem with all of it in that we reached that point because people didn't want to pay for map packs anymore. Because it segregated player bases, and the investment that you have to put into these massive third-party games it's not just the publishers who put that money up front. And this is like what you were saying with like, oh, I bet you've forgiven AAA party developers and publishers for less. This is one thing that I do, and I get that I'm a guy on an island alone in the middle of the fucking Atlantic Ocean with this. So just but hear me out. Hear out like the logic behind it. Is that it's not just the publishers putting up that money. Like, it takes hundreds of millions. So there's like creative studios, there's investors, there's fucking millionaires who just want business opportunities. And when you get things like Titanfall 2s who are surefire new IPs that are coming back for sequels that they're going to be as big as COD, and they fucking flop like a sack of fucking dildos. Those games aren't immune to failing before launch. So they have to build into their investment in the contracts, right, we'll give you the money as long as you can guarantee that there's going to be a way of, if we don't quite succeed, we can monetize it afterwards. That used to be map packs. People are crying out they don't want map packs. You don't want map packs as developers because it splits your player bases up. How can we do it? And that's what gave rise to all this microtransaction shit.
You could just make less games and make fucking good games for a change. Look at Rockstar, Jimmy. You know, they make one game probably every 5 years that absolutely knocks the shit out of every other game in existence when it comes out. Grand Theft Auto 5 has survived how many years since its launch now?
But what if they
survived 2 console lifespans?
But what have they survived on? Mode? What have they survived on there? Microtransactions with fucking shark cars, yet they don't get fucking slaughtered.
But you don't need them to play. You don't, and it doesn't break the game by not paying. It's, it's a perfect.
Here's the thing.
What I will say is, environment. Bringing up Call of Duty, for example. I think they did it in a very, very good way this year. They listened to the fans, right? They produced a game what people wanted: boots on the ground. They wanted the explosions and the essence of war, and this is what they got. And with the loot boxes, they dialed it back a bit. They let you win loot boxes through achievements and the orders. Because every time I go on there now, I go to the tent and I pick my orders and I go play. And then every time I win an order, I get a loot box. That's a very tasteful way of doing it because you still stand the chance of winning what everybody else is buying.
That's it. So, loot boxes aren't what bothers me. It's the fact that they're used in a way that breaks the game if you don't put the money in, and that's kind of what bothers me. It's annoying that there's games in existence now, like Shadow of War. You cannot complete the fucking game unless you front up some more cash.
You could do everything in it. So this is my point.
If you wanted to do an illogical grind right at the end of the game, which would have probably took you 3 weeks of senseless bullshit grinding. Or you could put a 10 down and complete it.
Call of Duty is the same thing. You aren't going to reach fucking prestige 10 without doing all that unless you put in.
This isn't for an online multiplayer
like
battle.
me.
This is just for the campaign mode, Jimmy. This is just to see the end of the fucking game through.
Yeah.
You know, it's just to see the last cut sequence of a game, and you can't even get past that unless you're willing to put a bit of money down to play. Now, I'm sorry, man. That's just scathing.
So then let's link that back to Star Wars, and then it is the same example. Then it was just multiplayer, which you could earn all the stuff through. The reason why I'm bringing all this up is that, first of all, to get people's opinions on it, obviously, but second, to kind of relate that to how the reasons why that they've been put in place, like with what I was rambling on about with like the actual finance side of things. The fact that those tides are turning there, I think now that's going to be putting up red flags in Microsoft's eyes of, do we continue to invest in just these like multiplayer heavy games, or do we start fucking actually getting some proper first party studios where we put everything into the single player content? And if people don't want to play it after a week because they've completed it, that's fine. We've already got their money. And I think that's a good thing. Like, I say all that defending it, and I'm like going back and forth. I'm playing devil's advocate for being fucking devil's advocate, to be honest. I think it's a good thing because I would love to see what Microsoft can put out. You look at Rise, for example. Xbox has had God of War for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Bring us fucking more of that shit.
This is like, you know how the movie industry has just suddenly gone, everybody wants comic book movies, and now all we've got is fucking comic book movies.
Yeah.
People want open world games where they can go and kick ass. That's like the ultimate game for people. Assassin's Creed, God of War, all these games where like GTA, new Spiderman coming out, games where you can make your own choices, move around, do what you want to, and make your own story. I think that is the perfect recipe for a game. And soon I think we're just going to see these games rolling out. And you know, there's brilliant concepts out there, like Spider-Man, like Batman, like, you know, Harry Potter, like Ghostbusters. Like there's so many popular ideas out there that they could format this with.
Yeah.
And we've got two conversations happening here, really. We've got you know, what kind of games do people want to play, and how are people happy to have money made off them for playing the games? This is two sorts.
I think what I'm trying to get at is people will pay for a decent game, but they prefer to pay for a full game. And like with Jimmy saying, like, with this new trend of taking away microtransactions and moving more to like the storyline and the quality of the game, the size of the game, this is when things are going to start changing. Yeah. And this is where they should move to, as in an open world ass-kicking game where you can do what you want to do. It's
because, like, using Crackdown as an example, like, you've got 100% destruction in Crackdown, and you've got an open world city. Yes, it's stylized, but it's not kiddie graphics. It's cell shaded. It's just purely stylized. That game, if they make too much out of the multiplayer and they loot box the shit out of the multiplayer, I'll be kicking myself thinking, recognize the fucking trend. Put out the game that is just like, you know what, you want to take a rocket launcher and blow up a city, and if you want to do it with a friend, that's great, go and do it. I want them to recognize this trend, because yes, I sort of what's the word? Fuck it, I would use like the full-on SJW term of like damage control and for Microsoft, for EA. But at the same time, I recognise that people don't want that. And when you've got things like, I have that mentality, right? Of, I love features, I love all this. See what you can do with it. See what you can do out of microtransactions. I understand the reasons why. See what you can do out of things like I'm not linking it back in, Al, don't worry, but like crossplay with Sea of Thieves. Great, see where it can go. Crossplay's giving you hackers. Sea of Thieves is microtransactions is like absolutely destroying the industry long term. Like, it's not working. So they need to recognize this shit and get on board before people go, you know what? Everything is going towards like this.
People will always be happy to pay for content. That's more than anything else. I think people are happy to pay for more gameplay, for more game, not so much pay to make myself able to defend myself within a game better. That's just you know, bad practice more than anything else. But again, to come back to Grand Theft Auto, I think that is the perfect model almost for a pay-to-play system. You can pay money to play sort of much bigger, more elaborate online modes, which you can still earn the money in game to play. But if you can't afford to put the money down, or you don't want to put the money down, the missions that you would use to earn money within the game to purchase these missions, there's still a lot of them, and they're still very fun. So regardless of whether you're going to throw up any cash to play it, there's still enough things to do anyway. There's still enough stuff to keep you interested, and that's the problem with most of these online games that are asking for a little extra on the side. It's kind of, it's game breaking for me. That's the only way you can play the game is to put more money into it. If you want people to put more money in, fair enough. Make an environment where they can put more money in if they choose, but still have fucking fun in the meantime. Yeah. And still have a wholesome game. EA are bastards for it, man.
They're a greedy scandal
without it.
I think, though, with people like this, is one point I wanted to make. I think certain companies and publishers or whatever, they get a hard rap because it's EA. Because you look at again, using Call of Duty and throw a Halo 5 in there, throw Gears of War in there, Star Wars. Yes, they get a bit of shit, because everyone gets a bit of shit if you fucking look in the right places on the internet. But I've never seen a backlash like what happened with Star Wars, and I think Warner Brothers.
A better title, man, at all.
And that's the thing. You didn't need. Yes, you had to grind to get the stuff, but you didn't need to get those loot boxes. If you paid for a loot box, right, and I earned it, we get different stuff anyway. So your loot box isn't guaranteeing a better weapon than that to be purchased than I bought. So the actual real world impact is actually, if you look at it, it's zero. There is.
I think one of the biggest beefs people had with it, though, was that it sort of it completely ruined your sense of immersion. Most people who were slating Battlefront's loot box system were kind of more pissed that halfway through a game at the end of every level it was loot box, cramming it down your fucking throat. Loot boxes. It didn't feel like they were playing I guess an innocent title. It was just constantly trying to sell them some shit. That on top of the fact that regardless, however you tell it to me, it is gambling. It will always be
robbing bastards in my eyes.
Yeah, it couldn't have happened to a better game, man. I mean, it was such an important title. It should have, realistically, it should have been the absolute Christmas game. And it just got, rather than that, it got governments around the world addressing the problem. It was fucking poetic, man. Yeah. It was absolutely beautiful.
Speaking of stealing cunts, what about the Duffer Bros, eh? Have you heard about this?
No, go on.
About Stranger Things. This is a great segue.
Stealing cunts.
I actually kind of forced the segue. I was like, I can't do any more microtransaction talk.
No, I anyway, see that in your face. I
was going to stand up. I'm with my boxers. I was just going to stand up. I was like, look at my... Anyway, so it's been reported this week that the Duffer Bros who apparently created the Stranger Things stole the idea. And it was reported by a guy called, what's his name? Charlie Kessler. He claims that in a new lawsuit that he produced a short film called Montauk, which premiered in 2012. It even won an award at the Hamptons. And he went to the Duffer Brothers with the idea for a full-blown series, and they killed it. They were like, no. And then come 2016... there's the Stranger Things, which is the exact same concept with a different name, but apparently the Stranger Things was going to be called the Montauk Project. To not only have the Duffer Bros stole this guy's exact concept for a film, they were even going to steal the name for it, and it's going to court. Like the Duffer Bros are getting like sued to shit.
Oh, he is going to get a lot of money off this. If it was called the same thing as well. And that's on record. That's your red flag. Like that's it. Your hard evidence. You're going down. Shit.
Isn't talk though? That is. I mean, what I want to know is well, I know the reason why, but why bring it up now, like 2 or 3 years after, you know? And I'm guessing it's nothing to do with the fact that it's a multi-award-winning show that makes millions off merchandise alone, you know? I'm sure it's nothing to do with that. Like, I bet he was just like, let's see where this goes.
Let's watch how many more of these stories emerge after it as well, man.
Well, essentially, all he's done is he's sold an idea to Netflix without actually selling an idea to Netflix.
Yeah.
He's going to be sat on a mountain of cash that, you know, he never actually lifted a finger to make. Well, he did, but
Yeah,
indirectly.
Yeah, that's all your creativity gone into that. Does anyone actually get into season 2? Because I couldn't get past the first couple of episodes.
I loved it. I loved it.
Grab me for some reason, like the first one did.
No, I'm kind of on the same page as you. I mean, I watched it through. Yeah, I guess
I really liked
find
it.
boring.
The first one, like I physically couldn't stop watching it. It got me so hooked and like, wow, this is incredible. And at the second season, I was just like, it's just, I don't know. It's just more of the same, but a bit wetter. Just it didn't have the same.
I watched it
a bit
just for
watered
Dacre
down.
I watched it just for Dacre Montgomery. That guy got me so fucking wet, man. No, I thought it was really good, and I liked the way the story progressed. I thought Dacre Montgomery was a great addition to the. I liked how they just like add the odd couple of characters. They don't just like throw in like there's a new generation of kids and this sort of stuff. They like very clever and very particular about who they bring in, and Dacre Montgomery was a great addition. And I like this season 3 trailer teaser come out. I haven't seen yet. I just think they can give me Stranger Things every year for the rest of my life, and I'll be happy. You know, as long as this Kessler guy gets paid out, because I do think he deserves something for what his contribution. So yeah, that's my take on Stranger Things. It's awesome.
I remember there being a lot of beef online about it being just like not the second series specifically, but just Stranger Things as a whole being sort of just a blunt mashup of 80s horror. And, you know, why would you watch this if you know, if there's actual 80s horror and stuff out there to be watched? And I was kind of thinking, what the fuck else did you expect from it, man? Of course that's what it is. That's why you watch it.
I think Stranger Things and It did that kind of nostalgic 1980s kind of horror perfectly, because like back in the 1980s it was great to see Tim Curry as playing Pennywise, but they didn't have the special effects and the CGI and the know-how back then that they do now. So if I could pick up Tim Curry and have him play Pennywise now with the CGI and the technology we've got now, I would happily do that, but you can't. You know, I think it's a valid point. But yeah, Stranger Things is a complete fucking rip-off, but it's a good one. So
that's surreal.
I was looking for like movie news, and obviously we could sit here and talk about Avengers until we fucking run out of air. But like I was looking for different new movies, and I was looking at Jack Black's new movie on IMDb, and I was just like, what the fuck is this shit? What is this shit? Okay, so his new movie is called The House with a Clock in Its Walls. It's got Jack Black and Cate Blanchett in it. And it's a weird story about a young boy helping his creepy uncle, who's Jack Black. And they're looking for a clock inside a house that can apparently destroy the world or stop, you know. And I watched the trailer and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I didn't understand. There's just so much weird shit going on. Really dodgy CGI. This name that I can't even it's too many syllables, man. You know? What's Jack Black doing, guys? What's he doing?
He's
not much.
He's trying to make a paycheck, but I think Jack Black is going to go down as like School of Rock, Goosebumps possibly, and Jumanji possibly as the good films that he's been in. Like, I like Jumanji, and he was good in Jumanji.
King Kong, man.
I liked him in that. Yeah, I like that. No, because it was a different.
You make me sick, all of you.
I like Peter Jackson's King Kong. It was really.
Yeah, man. What the hell can you not like about King Kong?
Jack Black.
Let's not get off on a side topic on this, man.
That's it.
Ruin Jimmy's plan.
But no, Jack Black is a guy that could do almost anything, I believe. I think he should go down the kind of R-rated route. if I'm honest, because we've all listened to Tenacious D. That's perfect for him. He does it perfectly. Like, why can't he just do that?
I don't think he can do almost anything. I really like the guy, but I think he's definitely locked down on comedy roles, whether or not they're in serious films or not. He's still always going to come.
Yeah, but what I mean is,
goofy character roles.
Don't make kids films. Make it where he can be completely unhinged. That's what I'd prefer to see.
Yeah, totally on the same page as you there, man. Jack Black is at his best when he's doing adult comedy, mental dumb shit.
And, we've only got a few years of Jack Black left. I mean, he's a big guy with a bit of weight,
Jesus Christ.
I had to take it down the Alex route, didn't I? I was going to start talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Vin Diesel, unless you guys wanted to talk about something else.
I don't know. Let's talk about a 6-month-old feud.
No, because he's been spoken to recently, and everybody knows that The Rock and Vin Diesel don't get on. I thought that they weren't going to make any more Fast and Furious movies because of it, and I was like, yay. And then it just turned out that The Rock won't be in Fast and Furious 9.
Yeah, they'll just write him out. Something like that. They will never stop making Fast and Furious films.
What the fuck is wrong with Vin Diesel?
It's just
the guy.
It's the Final Fantasy of movies. And it's got the same fucking initials as well.
It's not Final Fantasy in movies.
It is. It's just like sequel after sequel after sequel. I like them though. I'm putting that out there. I'm on my island alone in the middle of the Atlantic with my box of microtransactions and my fucking Fast and Furious box set.
Eating them.
Give me more. Give me more blasters.
No, I don't personally. I don't give a shit about The Rock and Vin Diesel not getting on because they're both high ego actors out there. A lot of actors and singers and things like that. They're kind of narcissistic fucking assholes that don't even think about themselves. So
The Rock isn't. The Rock is the nicest dude.
Oh yeah, I guess he's not.
He's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah, he's meant to be sound, but you guess he doesn't walk up to every mirror and be like, "I'm The Rock, baby." He's no
Keanu Reeves, though. Hey,
I reckon The Rock walks up to
selfless man.
I reckon The Rock walks up to mirrors and records it and posts it each time. He's like, "You are the best." Just like he's so inspirational all the time. Whenever he posts anything, it's just like he's like we're hanging out with Kevin Hart doing fucking inspirational talks, just like gearing people up. Always give 100%. It's just like he just does so much work, and yes, just like bodybuilding and stuff like that. But he just puts so much work into just whatever he does, and he's such a nice guy that I can imagine this whole thing being like. I've never seen an interview with Vin Diesel. I don't know what the guy is like. It wouldn't surprise me if this is all just like.
Do you reckon he's a bit Bruce Willis?
No. There was one. There was one on Radio 1. Do you remember this? He was. I think he didn't really want to be there, and
I bet he's a bit Bruce Willis about it.
Very much so, and I think he did it in a Cockney English accent the whole interview because he couldn't be asked. He's meant to be a bit of a bellend, Vin Diesel. I'm not saying The Rock is an arsehole, by the way. I'm just saying that, once you start making it all about The Rock, and not all celebrities, but Vin Diesel at least is going to be the arsehole out of the two. And
didn't The Rock once see some fans waving at him off the side of the road and then U-turn his car and go back and park up and sign some autographs and take some photos with him? I'm pretty sure that's right.
A 40-mile round trip.
If this was in LA, the nearest roundabout, if there even is one in existence there, would have been like 40 minutes in traffic.
He's like, I'm going to be on Twitter. I'm going to be on Twitter. Doesn't matter what your name is. The
absolute best example of that ever happening was it Mark Wahlberg and, God, why have I forgotten his name all of a sudden? Matt Damon. Someone had their photo taken with Mark Wahlberg, and then they put it on their Twitter saying, "Look who I saw in town today, Matt Damon." And then Mark Wahlberg had to comment saying, "No, that was Matt Wahlberg. That's me." It's amazing, man.
Was that guy that fell asleep in a pub and Tom Hanks took a selfie with him? He
Oh,
leaned over and took a
God,
selfie.
I've never heard of this.
Some guy fell asleep in a pub. Tom Hanks walked in. They grabbed his phone off the pub thing. He took a selfie with him.
No way.
And then walked out. This guy had a selfie with Tom Hanks and he didn't know it until he looked at his phone.
He photobombed someone's wedding, didn't he? I know that.
Yeah. He's ace, Tom Hanks.
Yeah, man.
If he was on Superhero Bar Fight, he would win every fight just because we love him that much.
I think we're not just sitting here unable to string a sentence together, to be honest. It's Tom Hanks.
Could you imagine having him in Thorskin? Hi guys, I'm Tom Hanks. He's just so welcoming. The small guy doesn't matter to him. He's very selfless. This is what I'm saying as an example of the very rare circumstance where a celebrity isn't all about themselves, and that's commendable, I reckon. You know, because it's very hard not to become very self-centered when they make it all about you, and you're getting shipped from hotel to hotel, glamorous as women, there's people taking pictures everywhere. It's very hard not to go into yourself. So I think, like, for people like Tom Hanks and The Rock, I suppose, you know, very, very, you know.
I could sort of understand it if you've been sort of raised in that environment, but I feel like it's mildly inexcusable if you've earned what you've got as a, you know, an A-lister actor to be arrogant about it afterwards. You know, and I especially feel like if you've got that much behind you, if you've got that much cash behind you, you're sort of obligated to try to better the lives of people around you in some way or another, rather than just, I don't know, go all Conor McGregor about it. Look at my fucking Ferrari. Look
at your fucking Segway.
There you go.
I loved it.
Both metaphorical and device with wheels. Look at me.
I'm glad you guys are trying to realise my genius, the route I was taking it down, and Ryan did it for me.
Totally intentional. Totally intentional.
I'd love for all those videos for him to actually have been on his Segway in the fucking Barclay Centre. Just, I'm on my fucking Segway.
Then, Alex, come on, fill me in. I don't. Other than a couple of quick posts on Facebook, I haven't really seen anything about this.
Oh, Jesus Christ! It's been fucking chaos.
What's the guy's name? Is it Kazara?
Who? What are you on about?
No idea.
Right, okay, so UFC were doing a media event for a fighter that Conor McGregor does not like. They disagree with everything, they hate it. Yeah, and so they were doing this media event because there was meant to be a fight the next day, and Conor McGregor was let in through the back door with like 20 of his goons of this event, and they literally just started tearing the place to pieces, throwing shit everywhere. They were fighting, and so they got everyone on the bus and they tried to get the bus away, but you actually see Conor McGregor, you see it plainly, picking up fucking, there was
so it wasn't even in response to some sort of an argument or anything. He literally just a planned attack. Basically.
Him and Habib do not get on at all. Like, as people, they don't get on. He's just had, because he hasn't fought in 500 days, Dana's stripped his title belt off him. So he's got like shit going on at the moment that he's kicking off about. So he literally just hopped on a flight, went straight to New York to kick off. Like I was just saying, like I've seen about 3 or 4 different videos now from different angles, people on the bus, people off the bus, the bouncers recording it, where he's going around, he's throwing bins, he's throwing chairs, he's picking up the metal fencing, throwing it through the windows. Very much a planned
and orchestrated attack.
It's full on assault.
Unforgivable.
He will go to jail for it, because there is just there's no way getting around it. And the problem is, he's got like about 50 people there involved that them individually are going to sue him through the floor. UFC, think how much money that fight would have made UFC. Dana White's going to sue him through the fucking floor because that event is no longer taking place. Like, he is going to get absolutely annihilated from this. I don't think he'll get another fight out of it again.
He'll be in WWE soon now. I reckon they'll be like, "No, fuck the UFC." No, because the UFC aren't going to want to touch him. Who else? He's either going to go to Hollywood or he's going to go to WWE. The guy isn't going to come out of prison and people are going to be like, "We ain't going to want to know you, Conor McGregor." I mean, it might do. I mean, look what happened to Mike Tyson. He lost
Did he
everything.
actually hurt anyone?
Yeah, he cut people up, basically, who were on the bus, smashed windows with blood coming down their face. Rose, one of the female fighters, was, like, proper shook up, apparently. And she is the nicest person you will ever meet. Like, fighting aside, she is, like, one of the nicest people to talk to ever. She was on the podcast with Joe Rogan and just sat down for like 2 or 3 hours with him and got into all like the influences, how they got there and all that kind of stuff. She's absolutely amazing person. And he was just absolutely annihilating the shit out of this bus and then ran off at the end, like jumped around and was like jumping about, bouncing around like a chav who's just fucking mugged someone thinking he's hard.
Well, he is a chav, isn't he? And
He's
at his
just
heart,
fucking-
he definitely is. You can spot it a mile off.
Yeah.
You can, man.
How do you think it would go for him in prison? Because he
Well,
can't.
not that hard because he's fucking solid.
Yeah, it's fucking Conor McGregor. He'd own the place. Like, you fucking
Don't
work
think
for
anyone
me
wants
now.
to fight him.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, as soon as you start going down that route of kicking the shit out of people in prison, you're never leaving, are you? Really? Let's be honest. Like,
He looks like a man that's had his face broken a few times. I'm sure he's not going to be very scared of anyone in there or anything that could come his way.
He'll
so.
get his own wing. They wouldn't risk having Conor McGregor.
Probably won't even go anyway, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
he'll squirm out of it somehow, won't he?
I imagine so. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's still fighting afterwards and he just pays his the fines
Dana
and
White-
carries on.
In that video, Dana White, he wouldn't give a definitive answer of whether the UFC had washed their hands with him. He was like, for now, yeah, I don't want to talk to him, you know, blah, blah, blah. But he wouldn't say, that's it, no more Conor McGregor ever again. And when he was in the heat of the moment, he didn't want to say anything he'd regret.
Yeah.
So even then...
Dana
Quote Jimmy, cash grab though, man. Cash grab.
Dana White is an absolute knob himself. Like, he can treat people like shit. But I watched that video of him where he got the media guys in the room and he was talking to them because he wanted to control the message. So he sat down with a couple of media guys. He recorded it himself, so that there was no like blowing it out of proportion. Like, he controlled the message. Like, he handled it fucking spot on. But I thought fair play to him for coming out and like actually addressing it. Yes, maybe his hand was forced because it was recorded and there's no getting around it. But at the same time, like, fair play for coming out and going, I do not want to do business with him right now. All the other fighters don't want to probably be doing business with him right now. Like, he was just like, it is a fucking bad career move.
I don't know anything about UFC, by the way. The only Conor McGregor fight I ever watched was the last one, the Mayweather guy.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather. I watched that just because a lot of people were talking about it.
I like Conor
What did he do
McGregor.
it for?
I like Conor McGregor, but I think it's just because he's probably drunk.
It's a-
you know,
it-
he can still drink.
It's
Took
a
a
shit.
plane to do it, you tell me, though. Harp.
Yeah.
Did-
Yeah, I think it's the mixture of his belt getting stripped and his beef with Habib, and it was
Did
just
he lose his belt in a fight?
no.
He's a soldier of the Dark Lord.
Fuck's sake. His last fight was nearly 2 years ago in the UFC. And then there was all of that build up in the PR around Mayweather, so that took a load of
Yeah.
time out, and then there's been nothing since. So basically, if you can't defend your fight, the rest of the division beneath you can't go anywhere.
Carries
You're
on.
you're affecting 20 odd guys beneath you that are all like scrambling for first contender because they want a shot at the belt. Their careers are doing fuck all because your career's doing fuck all. So they
What you're saying is he expected to get to the top and then for the top
just not
to
do anything.
be
Yeah,
done with.
Yeah.
I'm the champion now. Long
Yeah.
live the UFC.
exactly. So like you've got to fight
Yeah.
to defend your title. If you don't fucking fight, you're not going to be champion. It's happened to fucking better fighters than him where you get your title stripped. So I basically I think it was like the perfect storm of you've got someone who's way too hot-headed for their own good. I've got a bunch of people who are willing to do fucking criminal activity on your behalf for a laugh. your title belt's going and you've got beef with someone. It's that perfect storm of anyone else that would not have happened with, but unfortunately, Conor McGregor was the person.
And he's got an army of hype men as well that'll just be like, yeah, go on, yeah, Conor, let's do this, yeah, you know, and they'll hype him up because let's not forget, like 2 years ago, he was crazy and he was a bit out there, but that's the kind of thing that people liked about Conor. But now it's too much. But before there's videos of him like seeing a Conor McGregor cutout in the Las Vegas or something, and he'd go and knock on their door and go and have a beer with him, or go and say hello. He was quite centered. He was really good on Twitter. He'd answer fans back and things like this. Now it's like, this is what I mean. Like, he's hit that narcissistic kind of, it's all about me, and he's driven him insane. It's quite obvious to see. I mean, is there any way back for him? I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't know if
he's younger than me.
Yeah.
I can't get over that. Looks like he looks at least 10 years on us, man. Crazy.
Some of those punches to the head.
So
yeah, that'll do it.
What I want to do is link this back around, because Ryan, you brought up something that we haven't touched on, and then we need to jump the hell up out of here because I'm dying for a piss and I need to go and get adult shit done. Why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown of Ready Player One, and then we can all fuck off.
Has any of you read the book at all?
This is going to be all on you, buddy.
Well, it's it's a good film. I think I would have liked it a lot more if I hadn't read the book. If I didn't have any sort of preconceptions about it, it would have been a flat out good experience. If you haven't read it, you'll almost certainly enjoy it. For people that have, I imagine they'll probably be in the same ballpark as me, and that you feel that it takes events that happen over sort of a few years and squashes them down into a single adventure, which it's all you can expect really out of a film rendition of a book. It's hard, it's hard to do anything but that. It's good. It left me wanting more. I don't know whether or not I'm supposed to give spoilers on this or anything, especially if you guys haven't seen it. So
no, let's not spoil it. But
yeah, it just kind of it leaves you wanting specific scenes from the book to have been involved in there that just aren't at all, that aren't touched on. I
do feel for you, and I know exactly where you're coming from. I mean, like I read all the Sharp books. Remember Sharp with Sean Lee?
Yeah. Right? Only Al can segue Sharp into Ready Player One.
No, because Sharp was hugely popular, right? It was massive, right? Everybody loved it, and Sean Bean flicking the bean and all that, literally. No.
Have you ever seen Ready Player One? No, but have you seen Sharp?
No, but the books took a certain path, and they were a certain degree of just pure gore and violence, and not at all about romance. And he was an orphan that scooped up shit off the road from London. So I'm like, fuck you, Sean Bean, and your Yorkshire accent, you cunt. Like, But yeah, I know where you're coming from. So it didn't quite live up to the same expectation as the book. Then is that what
No, not at all. And I mean, as much as when people say, it's excusable because it's a 2.5 hour film, what more can you put into that time frame? I think it is, but it has been done. It has been done before. People have managed to do this. I mean, would you rather, though, a single film?
I've got a question for you. Would you rather have a film crammed into a book crammed into a 2-hour film, or would you rather have one book shot in 140,000 frames per second, stretched over 3 films that were 3.5 hours long each, called The Hobbit?
So you didn't like The Hobbit then, Jimmy?
Yeah, I love The Hobbit.
Me neither.
It's good. I think I better step out on that.
Let's not go down that route again.
I think we better wrap it up all in total, because I am literally going to piss myself here. So, right, thanks for coming on.
Hey, no sweat. My pleasure, guys. Thanks very much for having me back on.
I loved having you on, Ryan, again, and we'll get you on again soon.
Yeah, man.
Peace. Looking forward to it.
Thank you very, 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 very much for coming on the show.
You're quite welcome, sir.
And you have been listening to Thors-Kin podcast.
Is this your Radio 11 speech again?
Comic book fan.
Yeah, so yeah, make sure give us a like and a thumbs up and a subscribe, or if it's audio only, share it out, send it to a friend and say, oh, these guys are amazing, give it a watch, give it a listen, whatever, and tune in next week.
And look out for the weekly bazaar as well. That'll be coming very soon.
Awesome. See you later, guys.
Peace out.